Hey, this is Charmaine here. I'm the dietitian that helps people reverse diabetes and maximize weight loss. Now, I really want to make this video on 3 mistakes that people make when they're trying to reverse their diabetes. And I find this really helpful because when it comes to type 2 diabetes, there's a lot of misconception, right? And there's a lot of conflicting opinions of what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So, for people who either have had diabetes for a long time or just recently diagnosed, there's a lot of different, unhelpful opinions or unhelpful nutrition advice that really hinders their progress, or just, even if I, promote a plant-based diet that helps them reverse diabetes, there's a lot of ingrained mindset. And so I just really want to address these mistakes that people make when they're trying to reverse their diabetes, so that you can get started on reversing diabetes, or, continue your journey on reversing diabetes. So let's get started with our first one. Our number one mistake that a lot of people make is being carb phobic. So this is very problematic because if you're trying to, avoid carbs, or, because a lot of people think that when you have diabetes, right, the surface of the problem is carbs, right? Because when you eat carbs, your blood sugar rises. But at the end of the day, they thrive on carbohydrates. Our brain uses 500 calories from glucose a day. Average brain, right? If you're smarter, you'll use more. But, that humans are made to thrive on carbohydrates, right? Our blood sugar isn't supposed to be out of whack when we eat carbohydrates like fruits and whole grains, right? So we have to understand what the root of the problem is, right? The root of the problem is insulin resistance. So just like this picture, the root of the problem, this is what's happening in insulin resistance. So there's a buildup of fat in the cells. And so insulin is supposed to help the blood sugar, right? When you eat, like let's say if you eat a banana, right, it'll break it down into glucose into your blood, right? So the insulin's job is to bring the blood glucose, which is sugar, from the blood into the cell so that you can use it for energy, right? Carbohydrates is great for energy. That's why runners, they have to carb load, right? Because they need the energy. So supposedly your body is using carbohydrates for energy. So that's where insulin's job is. Now, when there's too much fat in the cell, that's when the cell is less sensitive to insulin, and insulin doesn't work as good as anymore. So when insulin doesn't work, the blood sugar stays in the blood, and that causes high blood sugar. So you can see the culprit of the insulin resistance is actually fat. It's not carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is just the surface of the problem. And if the problem of avoiding carbohydrates is you're avoiding things like fruits, whole grains that can, be really helpful for balancing your blood sugar, right? It's so colorful, it's so yummy, and it's so satisfying, all these foods. And so if you cut out these foods, and what do you eat? You turn to animal products, right? Or high fat foods and high protein foods, right? Even though protein is good when it's in, animal sources, it's usually paired with saturated fat, and that doesn't help with insulin resistance at all. So make sure that you're not, you have to kind of rewire your brain to think, okay, healthy carbs is good. Okay, of course, we're not talking about refined sugar here, right? Or donuts here. We're talking about, healthy whole carbohydrates. So you have to kind of retrain your mind to think, okay, carbohydrates, it's good. And think about, okay, what grows from the ground, right? We all know that fruits, vegetables, all of those are good things, right? They're healthy. They're healthy for you. We all learned that, right? And all these things have carbohydrates. All plant foods have carbohydrates, right? So just make sure that you can just, help yourself rewire your brain and know that, okay, carb is good, carb is good, carb is good, right? So that's a part of it. And then also, one encouraging thing is that when you solve the root of the problem, which is insulin resistance, you increase your body's ability to process carbohydrates. So on here, I have people in my program that are able to eat a lot of carbohydrates and still lower their blood sugar, right? Because they're solving insulin resistance. So, this client that I have here, she actually got off insulin. So that's really exciting that, she's eating a lot of carbohydrates, but she was still able to lower her blood sugar and get off insulin with the reversing diabetes methodology, right? So it's very, very exciting. And these are all, normal levels a normal person will have, but you probably wouldn't know that, these people have diabetes, right? So it's definitely very, very exciting that you can eat more carbohydrates and still lower your blood sugar. So I would say, definitely avoid being carb phobic, okay? Now, the second mistake that a lot of people make is not eating enough, right? Because we're so... especially when you have diabetes, you're conditioned to count calories, right? You're conditioned to limit your portions, or you're conditioned to be scared of food, right? So a lot of times when people transition to this lifestyle, they don't eat enough, right? And so the plant foods that you're eating are already lower in calorie density. If you don't eat enough, it's going to backfire, right? So if you don't eat enough calories, your brain is so smart. If you don't eat enough calories, your brain will think about, okay, what are the foods that are dense in calories? Oh, that cheeseburger that I had, or that cheese pizza that I had, right? They'll think about, okay, what's most dense in calories, and it'll start making you crave those foods, right? And that's when it's so easy to follow the wagon or lead to overeating when you don't eat enough. So I cannot stress enough that I always tell my clients, make sure you eat enough, increase the volume, right? So make sure you increase the volume that you're eating so that you'll be able to stay on this lifestyle, thrive on this lifestyle, feel energized, feel full, and to be able to, eventually reverse your diabetes. Okay. Number 3 is that the number 3 mistake is that people don't work enough on their mindset, right? Because a lot of people come to me for nutrition, right? They tell me, okay, tell me what to eat, tell me what to do, and I'll be good to go. And I understand that, it's good to know the right nutrition, right? Because I'm a dietitian and that's my job. So I, of all people, will know that, nutrition is really important. But in my experience, what I realized the most important thing is actually your mindset. Your mindset is even more important than nutrition. The nutrition part, I got you, right? That I already have taken care of. But your mindset is, oops, I spelled this wrong. Well, it's M-I-N-D. I know how to spell, but that was just a typo. Anyways, but your mindset is even more important than nutrition because your mind drives everything that you do. Even if you're raising your hand like that, your mind drives that. So a lot of people underestimate how important our mind is. And why it's so important is you have to understand why we do what we do. So everything first starts with the mind, right? If our mindset is, focused on, for example, negative feelings, if we have a negative mindset, then it produces negative feelings, right? And feelings lead to action because we act on our emotions. That's just human. No matter how logical you think you are, you still act on your emotions. So your mindset produces feelings, and feelings leads to action. Okay. So, but if you have a positive mindset, that leads to positive feeling, and that leads to positive action. And a lot of people, when they're on this lifestyle, on this journey of reversing diabetes, if they don't work on their mindset, if they don't know what their why, then the process, the day-to-day, the mundane of, trying to eat healthy becomes harder. Okay. And I don't want you to think, wow, this reversing diabetes is super, super hard. It's not rocket science. It's not super hard, but it's kind of like learning to drive a car, right? First, when you learn to drive, I remember when I learned to drive the car. I know at first it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to, make a right turn or, brake smoothly. All those small details, you have to think about it, right? But now that you've driven, for I don't know how many years or how many months, right? You don't even think about those things, right? You don't even think about, oh, I need to brake smoothly. It just comes natural to you, right? So this is the same with reversing diabetes, with eating healthy. It's the same thing. So your mindset is definitely super, super important. Your mindset that you have right now affects the rest of your life. Right? So I cannot stress how important this is. I would recommend you to journal. I know I talk about it all the time, but make sure you journal. Make sure you have positive self-talk and be intentional in your journal, right? Don't spiral and, you can express your feelings, but don't spiral in your negative feelings. Be intentional. So for example, if you really, really have these negative feelings, write it down, but don't spend most of your journal writing that down, right? Like half of your journal entry, stop there, write out all of your negative feelings out, stop there, and then turn to your positive feelings so that you can be able to combat your negative mindset. So anyways, that's my tips for today, and also the 3 mistakes that people usually make when it comes to reversing diabetes. And if you are interested in my Reversing Diabetes program, it's a 3-month nutrition coaching program that helps you reverse your insulin resistance and reverse diabetes. If you're interested in that, then make sure you book a call with me and my team. You'll get all the tools that you need to be equipped to live a long, healthy, diabetes-free life. And what's exciting so far is, anyone that uses my methodology, they all see results. No one has not seen results so far because this is science. It's just plain science. It's not a theory. It's not, another guessing game or diet. This is just science. So it's very, very exciting. So if you are interested to join my Reversing Diabetes program, then make sure you book a call with me and my team. The link will be in the bio or in the description. And I'm very excited to help you out, and I'll talk to you later. Have a wonderful day, everyone.